When AI is an arms race, tech companies become obsessed with benchmarks. Which company has the biggest, the fastest, and most powerful model? And look, that's interesting, but it's not the most important thing right now to business leaders. The most important thing that actually matters to your business isn't which AI is the most capable, it's which AI you can actually trust. I mean, there's no point hiring a smart employee if you can't trust them, and technology is no different. But right now, you might be surprised to learn that cloud AI is not designed to be trusted. So in this video, I'm going to explain about a critical weakness in the cloud AI model and explain what that means for your business, and then tell you that Apple has already solved this problem that the rest of the industry still pretends doesn't exist. Every time you upload a document or ask a question about your business to an online AI platform, the data leaves your building. It crosses a network, lands on a server that you don't own, in a location that you probably don't know, managed by a company whose commercial interests are not necessarily aligned with yours. You're effectively trusting a terms of service agreement that you've probably never even read. In the physical world, you'd never hand your sensitive data over to a stranger. Yet that's exactly what we're doing with big technology companies every single day. Ask yourself, how do you know for sure that your data isn't being used to train their next model? How do you know it can't be intercepted in transit? How do you know there isn't a vulnerability in the infrastructure that exposes your confidential information to someone else's query? And right now, you can't. That's just the architecture that you're working with. But this goes much further than most people realize, because even here in Australia, government agencies can compel a technology company to hand over access to your data, and the company can be legally ordered not to tell you. No notification, no recourse, that's just the law. So the moment your data leaves the building, you've already lost control of who can see it. And that's a major problem in cloud AI. Cloud AI works by pooling expensive GPU resources and renting them out to you by the hour. So when you use cloud AI, sensitive data sits in memory during processing. And in conventional GPU architecture, it's technically possible to read or alter that memory without leaving a trace. In other words, people can steal data from memory. And that's because the hardware running most cloud AI was never designed to prevent this. Let's remember, NVIDIA's GPUs were originally designed for gaming, and now they're powering large language models for business. They were built for speed, not for security. A study from the University of Toronto revealed that a type of hack called a rowhammer hack is also possible on certain types of GPUs. Now, to be fair, NVIDIA has recently started to talk about confidential computing. That's an acknowledgement of the risk, but confidential computing is not the default option, and it's not clear which cloud AI platforms are actually using it. And that means they're bolting on security after the fact, after hundreds of billions have already been spent on infrastructure and foundations that were never meant to be trusted with sensitive work. So you have two major problems. First, your data is exposed not just to governments, but potentially malicious actors that you may not even be aware of. Secondly, the hardware has known vulnerabilities that the industry is still scrambling to patch. However, as I've been explaining on this channel, Apple has taken a fundamentally different approach to AI. From the very first M series chip, security wasn't added as a feature, it was etched into the hardware itself. Apple Silicon includes hardware-level memory integrity enforcement. That's a guarantee that no process or malicious code or external attack can tamper with what's running in memory. It uses a technology called pointer authentication. That's where a single reference to a memory location gets a cryptographic signature from the chip itself. So if anything tries to interfere with that memory, the hardware catches it and blocks it before it can execute. It's not an optional feature that your IT can turn on, it's wired into the silicon. So why is that important? Well, let's talk about what that means for AI specifically. An AI model is basically billions of carefully calibrated values called weights that determine how it thinks and what it decides. If someone can alter those weights while the model's running, even subtly, you no longer have a reliable system. You have a system that looks completely normal, but is making decisions from a corrupted brain. On Apple Silicon, the model that loads into memory and runs can't be changed because it's protected by the chip that it runs on. And even more crucially, it never leaves your device, so it always stays in your building. That's a fundamentally different level of trust to anything that a cloud AI provider can offer, regardless of how many compliance certificates they give you. A certificate is a promise, but hardware is a guarantee. Now, maybe you don't personally care about that. Maybe you've decided that the convenience of cloud AI is worth the trade-off. And that's a legitimate choice, and it's yours to make. But maybe you don't want your company's secrets or financial being leaked into cloud AI. Maybe you don't want to share your personal health records or legal records with one of these big tech companies. And if you're a business leader or a business owner, remember that your employees are also making that decision for you. The AI industry has spent the last 3 years competing on capability, bigger models, faster inference, higher benchmarks. And that race will undoubtedly continue. But capability without trust isn't a business tool, it's a business risk. The M-series chip wasn't designed in response to the AI security problem. It was already the answer before the industry even realized that was a question. And that's what trust by design actually means. Not a policy written after a breach or a compliance framework that was bolted on after the architecture was built. It's a deliberate decision made at the chip level that your data and your AI model are yours and nobody else's. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel so you never miss out. And see you in the next one.